Ready? You're recording.
How you guys doing?
Great.
Good? Everyone up? Sleep or no sleep?
That's for Monday.
That's for Monday? Alright, okay. Alright, so we're giving this talk. We got about 3 of us. We're going to try to go pretty quickly here. There's a lot we want to cover. It's a little different than a normal security awareness talk. We're trying to use the art of war, attacking the organization as well as racing the defense. You need to combat your security awareness strategies in different methodologies. It might not work the same way everywhere, right? We can't just use videos. We can't just use certain things and methodologies. It's not going to be a one-way tool to work across every organization, every industry, worldwide, right? Everywhere has different cultures. Every company or business, government entity has its own internal culture, right? So as we get through here, we have a little guy that kind of knows what he's talking about for a very long time, right? So one of the best military strategists that around. So you have to know your enemy, right? Know your enemy, know yourself, and you can win 100 battles without disaster, right? It's the same in security awareness, right? We need to know our employees. They need to know, or we're never going to win, right? So. From a victorious CISOs or just security organizations, managers, security professionals, right? You gotta win first, and then you can go forward, right? You can't expect to go in to win without a strategy. Okay, so we're gonna split this up here. We have a couple things. We have the executives, right? You need to. Who loves talking to the executives? Raise hands. Right. Of course, right? Who doesn't like talking to the executives, right? I mean, not that you don't like talking to them, but you definitely need to be prepared. You can't go in there without a proper slide deck ready, how you're going to talk to them. You need to know what they like, what they don't like, what you're even there for. They might not even know why you're there for, right? I mean, they sit there, they go through a lot of things. You really have to plan around it. And we need to engage our coworkers a little differently. We need to get them interested in security. We need to get them engaged, learning. There's a lot of cool things like at these cons. People come here. First DerbyCon. Who's first DerbyCon? Raise hands. Look at that. See, you guys don't know us, or you wouldn't be here. Maybe that's why. It's these cons have a lot of things. Everyone gets interested. Everyone's like, wow, I need to keep going to this thing. Once you go to the first one, you're going to go, until the end of time. So you guys all got to be back, right? So, also connecting security to the organization, right? I mean, there's outside of your direct coworkers within IT, and then going, outside to the business areas where, they're not tech savvy, they're not really in, security has a whole subculture to it. And I think there even was a talk about the subculture of security earlier yesterday, and it's a little different. You got to get people to understand that subculture, right? Not everyone understands why unicorns are so cool, right? You need to really kind of prep them for that, and then as we go, we do have little gifts, so we're gonna have some interaction here. So first battle, the executives. Right? When you go in, this is what you look like. Right? This is what I get when I go in there. And I'm talking from, executive boards to politicians, right? I mean, you got politicians going in there. I mean, it's really a different battle there. I get in, like, why can't we listen to Pandora? Like, well, that's a bandwidth issue, right? That has nothing to do with security, right? But you can't tell them like that, right? You really have to get them to engage with you. Some things like, email from home, all these things, right? And if you put a bunch of compliance stuff, compliance officers, your IT managers, they know a lot of compliance stuff. Maybe someone on the executive board knows compliance. Politicians, compliance, all the laws and stuff, they only want to know certain things about security, right? And if you get them with all this jargon, it's not going to go anywhere. Even if you have the jargon spelled out, you're going to be explaining, why PCI exists because you're taking credit cards. Like, we take credit cards? Why do we take credit cards? Well, you pay court fines. Oh, well, Okay, does it work? Yeah, well, okay, well, I don't really care about it because it's working, so don't tell me about it, right? So you only have so much time. So, we gotta, you really gotta, when you engage a powerful enemy, or I should say, your executives that are your friends, and if it's unavoidable, you don't want to engage them. If you don't want to go to the executive level and you get buy-in from them, you don't go back to them. Keep doing what you're doing, right? So, go back a little. So one of the things I touched on is using your perspective, right? Security perspective. But you need to step back a little, which we're getting better at. And then, at least when we talk to IT, CIO levels. But then when you're talking, across to a council or board, or across the business verticals, you have to take out your whole IT perspective, right? You have to turn into a risk officer, and it's just, you really got to look at it from a whole different level, and really, there's only a couple things that they really care about. And, what do we need to do? They need to know, they want answers, right? They want to know, what do we need to do? And they want to know how much is enough, right? Not just how much we need, how much is enough, right? And then, the third one seems somewhat redundant, but it's like, who can I trust to answer the first two questions? Oh, there you go. Look at that, now it's working. So, who can I trust, right? So you need to be, you need to be there, you need to be confident, you need to really show them that you know what you're, you can go in there and say you have all this certification, all this stuff. No, you just need to be very authoritative, right? You need to go in there and really know what you're talking about. They need to believe that you know what you're talking about, right? I mean, we go through all these social engineering, the organization, social engineering, everything. You just use that, in your meetings, right? In a productive way. Right? You need to get them to believe that you know what you're talking about, because you do know what you're talking about, hopefully, right? And also you need to be reliably measured, right? If you go and talk to executives, you need to have metrics, you need to have measurable statistics in some way. If you go into an executive meeting and you don't have something that backs it up statistically, then you're walking in there naked, right? So you need something. If you don't have those statistics, get them from a different industry, that has those statistics. At least have something, right? If you don't have any, measure yourself to somebody else. Find something else. Find some kind of institute. Have something to back you up, so they don't say, you say, well, those statistics exist. I just don't know them around top. They're like, well, why don't you have them in front of you? It's like, why wouldn't you do that? Why don't you be prepared, right? So you need to have those. And if you're not taking or measuring and have statistics now, measure anything. The littlest thing. Measure how many. And have it meaningful too, right? You can measure a lot of things. You have a lot of tickets. You have a lot of stuff. You can do a lot of interesting metrics, right? Also, another big thing, tough questions. If they go in there and they say, well, we have this new thing, and we have this Six Sigma thing, and blah 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 blah, right? You're just going to hear all this business stuff, right? And you have no idea how to answer that. It's going to happen, right? And what do? You have to answer something. You don't have to give an answer, but you can't hesitate, right? You can say, well, I'm definitely going to get back to you with that. Step back and say, yeah, I'll definitely get back to you with that. And you know what? Right after that meeting, get their contact information. Feel that you're actually going to follow up. You can say you're going to follow up and you're going to email them, and they're probably never going to look at it. Or maybe they will, right? But you need to get that, and you need to engage them right after that meeting. You need to get that follow up. So a lot of these things, just to kind of go over how, I've obviously these things exist. I didn't make these, suggestions up. I've taken them from multiple places. One of the best talks that I went to was by a guy named Alan Haller. Anyone know? Alan Haller. No? No one know? Sands. One more? Nope, good. Bow tie. Bow tie for the man in the back. Alright, so the Sands president, right? So he gave a great talk about how you talk to governors, right? So, and this is all they care about, right? At the highest level. And it was a great talk, and he goes through and he says, they need to be followed up. You need to go, you need to get their information. If it's with their secretary, whoever, right there then. So, then what do you present on, right? We've seen scorecards, right? Everyone know what a scorecard is? Raise hands. Or not raise hands? how do these scorecards look? Let's do this. Say that's scorecard number 1. Let's everyone like that. It's just gonna be like a contest, one of those contests. You have to root for it. That scorecard? No, really? Everyone's sleeping?
I don't like it.
You don't like it? You don't like the first one?
No.
You sure? It's a lot red in it. I'm security, I like red. How about that one?
Yeah.
Better? Okay, alright. What about that one?
Not so much. I can't.
Okay. Alright. So you like that one right there? We're going with the middle?
Yeah.
Okay. They don't like it. Right? They don't know what that, they're like all those, they're like asset management. They're like, well, that's fine. We have asset management. We have an asset management team. Why do you do asset management? What does that mean? Right? So, communication operations, what does that even, what does that have to do with security, right? But obviously, does anyone know what that is? Right there? That middle one? Anyone? Speak up? Oh, you can't really see it too much? Okay, in the front though. Huh? Maturity model, right? That's a great thing to align to, right? They don't really, at the high enough level. Now, if you have business managers or you have more people within the compliance role, they'll love that, right? And then that's where you know the place for certain things, right? So that's what you usually get, right? The executive or CISO, right? So, repeat priorities, they don't know, right? These are some better ones, right? So these are some better ones. They kind of understand. They don't really like those things that says like pen testing, security testing. All that. Yeah, you can have those. I mean, you obviously have those labeled, right? What they care about is how you relate to other people, right? They want to know what we need to do. Okay, so you're telling us we trust you, right? Because you're trusted. They're like, well, we need to have that, red, orange line be that blue line, right? Or vice versa, right? However you're aligned, us and industry. Right? So you need to be aligned with that blue line, right? That's just an example. That's how do we get there? And then you explain this is what we need to get there. These are the priorities. These are and they'll start to trust you, right? And then if you have management, you need to take a different approach, right? They're going to see that. They're like, oh yeah, that's good. They want to know more, right? They want to know more. So they want to know more of a score and heat map or back to the maturity model, right? They're going to want to know that. I'll use some better colors than that, but that's just some mock data we have. So that's what you need to do, right? And then you can go over those. Management, you want to go more in depth in that, right? And you want to do it, how I say it is quarterly. So, you don't want to go through the whole, you want to go and actually have measurable statistics, right? And then over time, you can do something like this. And I grabbed this off when the SANS presentation we had. And the story behind this, you don't really need to read some of the boxes here. But they actually start doing the metrics, right? So they actually saw risk reduction, and they had a whole methodology that was proved of what that meant, what is reduced risk, right? But when you're going to the executives, that's already, they just need to know statistical models behind that. So when we start doing this, it started going down, right? And this is where we need to be, and that's what's going to get us to where we need to be, and this is how much it's going to be. And that's what you need to start doing. So error number 1, right? Using your perspective rather than theirs, right? You need to sit in their shoes. You need to get someone trusted in the council that you can kind of prep your slides through, right? Prep try to go through. You need to practice, right? So, the best victory is when you understand your own account, not theirs, right? So you need to meet the enemy, or the executives, on your terms, not theirs, right? First impressions last a long time, so you need to do this right first. Right. You definitely go through and get better and better over time if you've already had that impression. But you need to get first impressions are last so long. So and only cover what they care. How much, right? You need to go in there with a very quick couple slides, explain everything. Don't go into too much detail. They'll ask detail if they really want it, right? In lower management, you need to go into that more detail. And use, one of the other things, use relevant stories. I can't tell you how many times I've gone in and everyone's like, well, use the target breach. They'll understand. It was big. Well, we don't have any, credit card data on our system. We don't even have HVAC. It's like, well, we're not a retail store. So if I go to a politician and say, well, the target breach, they're like, well, we don't we're not a retail store. Why does that mean a government? You need to get to a relevant story, right, that aligns to your industry. And if you can use internal stories or even scenarios that have happened that you've stopped, it hits home so much more because they don't realize this stuff happens every day, right? I mean, you can't go in there and be like, well, we get 1 billion logs per second in our SIM, we're blocking, thousands of attacks for a firewall. No, you need to have more of a scenario-based story. Now we need to engage the coworkers, right? Transition, we're still working on it.
So, I'm going to talk about the human element. It's no secret that humans are the weakest link. We don't patch, we don't configure properly, we make mistakes, right? But security awareness, if it's going to be the central piece of your security awareness program, we have to train our people. I'll just use the keyboard. We have to train our people, right? All the different standards require compliance, audits, all that type of stuff. But if we're simply checking that box because we go over policies once a year, we hand out secure coding practices, all that type of stuff, we're not really getting to the heart of what we want to accomplish with security awareness. Security awareness needs to be thought-provoking. It needs to be more engaging and inspire change within our company. We need to find a way of getting our people to care about what we care about. To care about, when we see something, say something. When we see a problem from an email, a phish attack, whatever the case may be, to actually take action on that. At my organization, we actually dubbed our security awareness program to think like a hacker, because we really want to try to get people into that hacker mindset. Thinking through things critically, holistically, logically. In the case of web application hacking, applying logic to code and algorithms is really what we're trying to get at the heart of everything. Not only what the application should do, but what it's possible for it to do. Our QA teams worry about what the should do is. We worry about what the possible is to do. And when we talk about that, we really are trying to get at the how and the why of how the application works, right? And that why is a very important distinction between security awareness and security knowledge. As Calvin points out here, knowledge is just basically the memorization of facts. But until you really get to the how and the why, you're only regurgitating information that somebody else thought of days, weeks, months, centuries ago, right? And the problem is our coworkers have a job of their own to do. They're accountants, they're sales, they're whatever industry or whatever practice they're in. They have their own job. They have their own goals to meet, their own boss that they have to talk to, and whatever else. If we're adding to their workload and it's not thought-provoking, it's not engaging, then security training is seen as just being another added complexity of the job. We're creating this culture of box checkers. And the problem, what is the bare minimum I need to do to satisfy security, right? I see a lot of chatter on Twitter about, we need to stop coddling, we need to stop, giving into our employees, holding them accountable, and I get that. But I don't like the or else aspect of this. It's easy to blame our users, but the thing is, they're not sitting in DerbyCon. They're not sitting in after hours local. They're not watching talks on Iron Geek or following people on Twitter, IRC. We're immersed in this industry. We're the ones that are following this stuff on a daily basis. They're just simply trying not to lose their job, right? And that's why I strongly believe in this quote that was in Valerie and Bill's book. When we focus solely on our security training, solely on lectures and paperwork, and we only concentrate on policies, procedures, standards, we're very focused. We're only sharing our knowledge of security. We're not really inspiring anybody to really do anything that's different than what we normally do. I'm not saying we shouldn't have lectures. I'm not saying we shouldn't have standards and checklists. That's all very important stuff. But we have to inspire. We have to have fun with it. We have to make them have fun with it so that they want to get involved. They want to take it beyond simply just doing what we ask them to do. Security training needs to be engaging, needs to inspire to think differently, and not just blindly clicking the box. In my organization, we put together, this is just an example of how to go about doing this. We put a little event together called Hack Jam. Throughout the month of October, we do a whole bunch of training, different games we play. I'm going to go over those here in a second. But then at the end of the month, we put together a 3-hour event that basically we try to mimic what we see here at these different conferences. We go over different training, we play games, we do lock picking, we do a whole bunch of different things just to get people involved. Last year we did OWASP Top 10 training. We did a whole bunch of Capture the Flag, Lock Sport. We played a bunch of mini games, USB, crypto, cricket related. One of the games we played was a screensaver game. Basically, you go around, if you catch somebody with their workstation unlocked, you get 2 points, they lose a point, managers are 3 points, directors are 4 points. I had executives in it, but then I started getting creepy pictures like this and decided to pull them out of it. But, you know, it was a way of them holding each other accountable. It wasn't just me telling them not to lock their workstations, putting a poster up, reminding them. It was a way of them trying to hold each other accountable. And what we saw is that within the first 2 days of running it, we had about 50 submissions a day of people not locking the workstation. And after 2 weeks, we got it down to only 3 submissions a day. People started having fun with it. They started setting their screensavers, no points for you. And the one thing that really touched home with all this is that I got this email from one of our admins. And long story short, you know, at the very end of it, she said that, you know, he ran back to his workstation to lock it because, you know, he may have been taken a little too extreme, but he loves to play games. And that's basically the essence of what I'm trying to get through here is that, you know, people will get involved, they'll do things if they're engaged, if they're having fun, if it's interactive. One of the other events we put on was just a lock sport tournament there. The video's not working for some reason, but so basically we just set up just a little mini lock sport tournament, just lock picking, and the whole point of it wasn't to teach people how to pick locks. The point was that, you know, all the weeks leading up to this event, I put the lock picks out on my desk. I said, hey, swing on by if you want to practice, if you want to play. And maybe a handful of people came by every day, and that was 5, 10, 15 minutes that I got to talk to them that maybe I would never got to talk to them before. You know, they spent the 10 minutes trying to pick a lock, and I spent the 10 minutes just trying to figure out what's going on in their department, what projects they were working on, what things they had going on. So it was more or less just to open up the lines of communication. Here's from the Capture the Flag tournament. These are just some random pictures I have from the event. You know, people are there, they're interested. We handed out prizes. So these were the packets that we gave out. These were the awards we gave out for the Capture the Flag. I mean, it was just $5 little mini trophies we put together, just stickers. Because it was a web application training we did, we make everybody honorary security ninjas, so we gave out the little headbands. And, you know, people loved it. They started having fun with it. They started, you know, they all wore it. They all got involved. They all did it. And that's it. Just a way of trying to connect them back to this, security back to the organization now. So,
Dave to the stage.
Okay, so connecting. Okay, so breaking the mold. You keep doing what you're doing, you get what you got. And that's kind of the theme of where I went with a lot of my slides for this. So, we run the coffee station. Humorously enough, as Bill points out, that you got to make sure that people have their caffeine and stay energized. It goes for the meetings. And so we bring donuts, we do other things that keep people involved. Pie Day, we brought in pies. National Donut Day, we had donuts. Like we said. Okay, meeting requests. Everybody gets them. So my philosophy is you need to accept them, or one of your team needs to accept them. If you're actually in a meeting, you can, or somebody is, you can actually influence what happens, or at least keep on top of it. Otherwise, something happens, they just go and they do the shadow IT thing, and you find out about it months later. So, staying involved does it. So, unicorn posters. So, if you're walking down the halls and you see your standard security awareness poster, you go, wow, and you just kind of go on by. But you see a unicorn. You see a unicorn on the wall, and you suddenly go, oh, what's that? And you're going to actually read it. And having searched the net, we found out there were none. So we are going to be putting out a link eventually with all of these posted, so you can download, modify, redistribute, check back every so often. Hopefully we can make this a more standard type thing going forward. And if you have submissions and ideas that you want, that you make, forward to us and we'll put them up there. You know, we can make it a community event.
Hi folks, I'm Geek here. Yep, again, video snafu. But I have some of the speakers from this talk with me in the room as I record this message. And I think we got most of the content out there, right guys?
Yep.
Just a few questions. Any pertinent questions you'd like to repeat for the audience?
I don't think so.
Say something, Dave.
Trying to remember what the questions were.
What is the meaning of life?
42.
That works.